along the lakeshore, and that was where Shane made his move. He'd stopped right in the middle of the path, cast a furtive glance left and right, and then pressed his mouth in full lockdown mode upon hers. You. Snap out of it, Nina scolded herself. This was supposed to be a new beginning for her. While she was raising her daughter, she'd never had the time or energy to date. Now that she was making her belated entry into the world of dating, she really shouldn't ruin it by being hypercritical. She'd ruined more first dates by being hypercritical than... Come to think of it, she'd ruined all of them. First dates were the only kind Nina Romano ever had because there was never a second. Except that one, years ago. The one that had resulted in her getting pregnant at the age of 15. After that, she'd concluded that second dates were bad luck. Everything was different now. It was time, past time, to see if a date could actually turn into something besides a disaster. Nina's daughter Sonnet was grown. She'd finished high school early, at 16, and had been accepted at American University, neatly avoiding every youthful mistake Nina had made. Don't, she thought, feeling herself starting to drown in thoughts of Sonnet. In a moment of insane self-deception, Nina had convinced herself that it would be easy to let go of her daughter, to let go of the child who had been Nina's whole world until high school graduation a few weeks ago. Trying to pull herself back into the moment with Shane, she quickened her pace and felt a fiery sting along the length of her leg. Too late, she saw that she'd strayed too close to a clump of thigh-high nettles. Even when she gave a soft hiss of pain, he didn't seem to notice as he strode along beside her, filling her in on his latest round of golf. Golf, thought Nina, gritting her teeth against the stinging sensation. Now there was something she'd always wanted to try. There were so many things she'd put off learning and doing. Now that Sonnet was gone, it was Nina's turn to take her shot. The thought put a spring in her step despite the nettles. It was a gorgeous Saturday afternoon, and people were out in droves, like creatures awakened from hibernation. She loved the sight of couples strolling along the lakeshore, families picnicking in the park, catboats and canoes plying the clear blue waters of the lake. Nina loved everything about her hometown. It was the perfect place to launch the next phase of her life. Though not financially rewarding, serving as mayor had brought her friends and allies who far outnumbered her enemies, even after the finance scandal. These connections and Shane's bank were the key to her new endeavor. Now that Sonnet was gone, Nina was about to resurrect a long-buried dream. "So you've been waiting for me to free myself of the mayor's office," she remarked to Shane. "That's good to know. How are things at the bank?" "Actually, there have been a few changes," he said. "I was going to talk to you about that later." She frowned at the way his gaze shifted as he spoke. "What sort of changes?" "We've got some new personnel who came on board while you were away. And can we not talk about business?" He touched her arm, sent her a meaningful look. "On the path back there," he gestured. "It felt like we really clicked. I missed you. 3 weeks is a long time." "Uh-huh." She reminded herself to be fair, to give this date a chance. 3 weeks isn't that long, not to me. I've waited for years to get going. This is it, my new life. I'm finally starting a future I've dreamed about ever since I was a little girl. Yeah, that's great." He seemed uneasy, and she remembered that he didn't want to talk about work, so she dropped the subject. "I'm glad I got to make the trip with Sonnet," she told him. "I can't remember the last time we had an actual vacation." "I thought maybe you'd be seduced by big city life and never come back," he said. He didn't know her at all then. "My heart is here, Shane," she said. "It always has been. Here in this town where I grew up, where my family is. I'd never leave Avalon." "So you got homesick on your trip?" "No, because I knew I'd be coming back." The day after graduation, Nina and Sonnet had taken the train to Washington, and they'd spent 3 glorious weeks together, seeing the nation's capital and the colonial monuments of Virginia. Though Nina wouldn't admit it, she was also reassuring herself about Sonnet's father, Lawrence Jeffries.